Hi, I'm Dr. Apurva Pallam Reddy from Phoenix Specialty Clinic, Bangalore. I'm a practicing gynecologist, IVF specialist, and laparoscopic surgeon. So, we are here today to burst some myths about endometriosis along with AVA PCOS. And I'm really happy to be associated with them and clear all the confusions that are there around the important condition that's called endometriosis. Endometriosis is a condition wherein the uterus lining, that is the endometrium, is actually growing outside of the uterus. So it can be in anywhere. It can be inside the ovary, wherein it forms as a cyst. It can be inside the pelvis, or sometimes it can be inside the muscle of the uterus as well. So if the endometrium, that is the lining of the uterus, is growing outside of the uterus, that's when we call it as endometriosis. I think it's important for everyone to know that sometimes even the most severe of endometriosis can actually be asymptomatic. That is, you can have, really high-grade endometriosis and probably not have any symptoms at all. But most of them, that is almost about 60% of them, the most common symptom that they experience is severe pain. And this pain is present during the periods, and sometimes it can be just before the periods and come after the periods as well. So severe pain is again a very common symptom of endometriosis. With endometriosis, sometimes you can have irregularities of periods as well. The amount of bleeding that you're having, it might be slightly highly colored. That is, the blood might be brownish in color as compared to being bright red in your regular periods per se. If the cyst that is inside the ovary, if the endometriotic cyst is too large, then you might have heaviness or fullness of the abdomen. You might have pain when you're having intercourse, again, because of the fullness that is there inside the stomach. These are a couple of symptoms that you can experience. And for women who are actually seeking pregnancy, infertility, that is, inability to conceive in itself, sometimes can be a symptom of endometriosis.
How does one diagnose endometriosis? What are the tests involved?
So, as I said, sometimes simple symptoms itself are good enough. When they do come with severe pain abdomen, when we do a physical examination for them, we do see certain features that are suggestive of endometriosis. But apart from the symptoms and the physical examination, the most common factor for us to diagnose an endometriosis is an ultrasound. On the ultrasound, we will be able to see cysts, that is endometriotic cysts, which are present inside the ovary. Having a retroverted uterus, that is a backward tilted uterus, again, is another symptom that we would see. It's another sign that we would see in endometriosis. Apart from this, when you are getting a laparoscopic done, that is, if you're placing a camera directly inside the tummy, even in this condition, we will be able to detect very mild or early stages of endometriosis.
Is it true that there is a higher risk of endometriosis if you already have PCOS or vice versa?
Absolutely. I think it is not vice versa, but it is PCOS that is kind of resulting in endometriosis, or women who have PCOS have higher incidence of developing endometriosis. As I told in the beginning, that endometriosis happens because the endometrium or the lining of the uterus is growing outside the uterus. As we know, in PCOS, you do have cycle irregularities. So most women, it happens that they don't get their periods for 2 to 3 months. And at the end of third month or 4 months, sometimes they have really heavy bleeding or heavy flow. So this period heavy flow that is supposed to actually come out of the uterus through the vaginal space sometimes can get spilled into the abdominal cavity through the fallopian tubes. This is what we call as your retrograde flow. So anyone who has menorrhagia that way are at a higher risk of developing endometriosis in their lifespan. And women with PCOS do have endometrial hyperplasias, and that will put them at a higher risk for developing endometriosis also.
Does this happen that sometimes endometriosis and PCOS might be confused for each other? If yes, then how does one differentiate?
Endometriosis and PCOS are completely different. They can be coexisting. You can have endometriosis and PCOS at the same time. That is, you can have endometriosis in one ovary and you can have PCOS in the other ovary. But that doesn't mean that someone who has an endometriosis, we are confusing them for someone who has PCOS. Because in PCOS, that is polycystic ovary, the ovary will have multiple small cysts which are less than 1 centimeter in size. Whereas in endometriosis, by default, the size of the cysts are larger. And in PCOS, the cysts are usually clear. But in endometriosis, the cysts are filled with blood. So that is the reason why they have a different consistency altogether. So no, we will never confuse both the conditions.
So just like PCOS, is it true that endometriosis can also be managed through lifestyle changes, or does one have to go through medicinal or surgery routes?
As I've mentioned before, in endometriosis, we have accumulation of blood or pooling of blood either inside the ovary or inside the tummy. Now, without taking medications or without having invasive surgery, just by going ahead and doing lifestyle changes, there is really no way for this pooled blood to kind of come out from your body, and it's not going to get absorbed easily. The only difference that you can do with your lifestyle is if your periods do get regular, and if you are not having heavier flow, the size of the endometriosis might not become so big that you might require something which is invasive. So if you have a small endometriotic cyst like 0.5 centimeters or 1 centimeter, and you don't have any major symptoms, it's not mandatory that you need to go ahead and get surgery done or you need to go ahead and get use medications. We can do conservative management based on the size, but lifestyle alone is not going to resolve endometriosis, whereas lifestyle can actually make a huge difference in PCOS.
Does lifestyle changes, or are there some sort of nutritional or workout related solutions that can at least help reduce the discomfort that is caused by endometriosis, especially the pain?
You do have various methods like using a hot pad or reducing the amount of sugar content during your menstrual cycles, increasing the amount of activity around that time. These conditions can alter your pain sensitivity, but nothing beyond that.
Okay, so coming to the pain factor, that is the pain aspect that is associated with endometriosis, when does one know that they have to seek help for the pain?
I always keep telling that whenever someone experiences pain during their periods, it can be two things. One is a primary pain and another is a secondary pain. So primary pain is wherein your body is, it has a slightly higher tendency of experiencing menstrual pain, because of which you are having pain during your periods. And all you can do for that is going ahead and taking analgesics, or that is painkillers. Now, secondary pain is slightly different because it is caused because of some pathology that is there in your body. And that can be ranging from, any fibroids or endometriotic cysts or any sort of infections that is present. So if you do have pain during your periods, irrespective of, how severe or how mild it is, I think it's always wise to go ahead and get yourself tested to see if there is any condition which is alarming. And if you do have pain which is debilitating, that is, it is altering your regular lifestyle, it is making you quit work, that you're not able to do your regular activity, if you feel that during your periods, those 2 days, you just can't do anything other than, sleeping on bed or taking a couple of painkillers, then that definitely is an indication for you to go ahead and evaluate yourself for endometriosis. A lot of times we have even seen that young girls who have severe pain during their periods, who don't show signs of endometriosis on the ultrasound, we go ahead and treat them with medications for endometriosis, and they have miraculous improvement regarding pain. So it also acts as a retrospective measure.
Does the severity of endometriosis depend on one's age?
Even younger women can have severe endometriosis, and even older women can have mild endometriosis. But as the number of menstrual cycles increase, the possibility of having higher severity or higher grade endometriosis will increase. So yes, with time, if you develop endometriosis at a very young age, then with time, the severity of it also will keep increasing.
Okay. Is it a serious condition if instead of thickening, the endometrium lining actually thins?
So there can be multiple reasons for thin endometrium per se. One of it is infection of the endometrial lining, and tuberculosis is the most common cause. If you have any hormonal abnormalities which are preventing the endometrium from growing, even in these conditions, you can see that the endometrium is quite thin. So if the endometrium is too thin, that is, if it is just about 6 mm or 7 mm, even in the mid of your cycle, that is on the 14th day of your cycle, that's when we call it as a thin endometrium. And if the endometrium is too thick, that if it is more than 16 or 17 mm in the middle of your cycle also, then we call it as a thickened endometrium. So both extremes is not good for your general as well as reproductive health.
Can excessive spotting through the cycle mean endometriosis?
Yes, as I said, sometimes the menstrual blood can keep getting accumulated inside the muscle of the uterus, and that's what we call as adenomyosis. So adenomyosis is just a variant of endometriosis, and anyone who has an adenomyosis can present with intermenstrual spotting. Along with that, sometimes if the menstrual blood gets accumulated inside the fallopian tube, which we call as hydrosalpinx or hematosalpinx, based on what is the accumulation of fluid that is there inside the fallopian tube. Even in these conditions, you experience intermenstrual spotting. So if you have intermenstrual spotting as well, you need to evaluate yourself for endometriosis.
Right. Lastly, how does endometriosis relate to infertility, and what is the way out in such a case?
So for technically from a woman's perspective, to get pregnant, we need a healthy ovary which is releasing good quality eggs. We need a good fallopian tube, and we need a good uterus. The problem with endometriosis is that it affects all three parameters, and it also affects the environment. Once the egg is released from the ovary, it is extremely important that the fallopian tube should be free enough to catch this egg. Now, anyone who has an endometriosis has a higher probability of having what we call as peritubal adhesions. Now, these adhesions prevent the fallopian tube from moving freely, and because of this, it becomes difficult for the fallopian tube to catch the egg that is released during ovulation. And this will reduce the chances of pregnancy. Likewise, sometimes even if the pregnancy does get implanted inside the uterus, if there is adenomyosis that is present, then they have higher chances of pregnancy losses during the first 3 months. So I would say endometriosis unfortunately affects all aspects of it. It is much, much easier for us to treat the infertility that is caused because of PCOS as compared to the infertility that is caused because of endometriosis.
Are there ways one can prevent oneself from endometriosis if it is such a serious condition?
So sometimes endometriosis is a familial condition as well. So if you do have anyone in the family who is suffering from endometriosis, be it your mother, your aunt, your sister, anyone per se, then you have a higher chance of developing endometriosis for yourself as well. So in these kind of conditions, we advise screening. That is, you need to get ultrasounds done on a regular basis in order to see if you are having any signs of early endometriosis, because it's not going to be possible that you're 100% normal today and in just about 3 months or 4 months time you develop a huge endometriosis of 4 or 5 centimeters. It is going to be a slow process. So yes, if you do have risk factors like someone in the family having endometriosis, or if you do have heavy menstrual flow, or if you do have PCOS, these risk factors have to be taken into consideration, and you should keep getting yourself screened well and trying to reduce the amount of bleeding and making sure that you don't bleed too heavy and too long, will probably reduce the incidence of developing endometriosis as well.
Thank you so much, Doctor. That was really informative. Just to end the session, if there is any message you would like to put out, as you know, we this is the Endometriosis Awareness Month. So if there's anything that you would like to tell women about their overall health and hygiene.
Right. Sakshi, I think, the problem with the existing scenario is that we have too much of information that is present. Now that we are talking about endometriosis and, we are kind of trying to create awareness about endometriosis, every single girl or every single woman who is having periods shouldn't start feeling that, okay, I have endometriosis, and, they shouldn't kind of get paranoid about it. I have had young girls who are, who've heard and read so much about PCOS, and the moment they kind of miss their periods, they are very sure that they have PCOS, and, they start going into a phase of depression as well. So having information and spreading awareness is for people to know that they are not alone in this fight for these medical conditions, and that there is treatment that is available for it. But that doesn't mean that everybody should, self-diagnose themselves with these conditions and start getting worried about it. So please do not get carried away with all the information that we are giving. Every individual is unique. You might have all the information about it, but that necessarily doesn't show that you should be having that condition. Let your doctor take that call, and don't get into that loop of considering yourself having some medical condition or the other just because you know about it.